Okay, so we're live on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, because we perceive that we're going to have a full hall asset. This afternoon, we had over 120 people registered for this session. So we don't want to take chances. We want to be sure that everyone is accommodated in this session. And if you are joining late, or in case you don't have access to the room when it is full, please follow on YouTube. It is being live streamed live. You can follow on YouTube. Let me put the link right now in the chat room. You can follow live on LinkedIn. You can share that with your families and friends. They can join us live on YouTube. This session is not recorded because it is on YouTube. So when we're done, you can as well go watch it on YouTube as a replay. So Gabriel, if you're around and you're ready, please let me know so we can start immediately. There's no time. Let's maximize the time. It's Sunday evening. We need to tidy up on time so people can go prepare for Monday. So Gabriel, if you're here, let me know and let's roll.
I am.
Okay, fantastic.
I am here also.
Okay, so when your video, are you putting on your video so I could spotlight you? Or
yeah, it is. It's turned on. Can you see my video?
Can't see your video yet. Okay, not yet. I have not seen your video.
Interesting. But you can hear my voice.
Yes, I can hear your voice. Your video seems to be on, but it's dark. So I can't see anything.
Is it? That's weird. MTN, don't do me strong today, I think.
Okay, nonetheless, I think you can start. Your video, your network will probably catch up with you. It would be nice to just have you start because I'm just conscious of the time. Or has the network thrown him out? I think so. Oh, shit. Okay, so while Gabriel is sorting out his network, let me do a quick recap of why we're here. Sometime early last month, we hosted Gabriel in the city of Abuja to talk about learning systems, about building how you can build a learning system for yourself or for clients or for commercial purpose. And it was such a very beautiful session. In fact, it just was so beautiful. That's just the way I'll put it, and many of you missed it. So today we have the privilege. Can you hear me? Usman Abakar is asking if anybody can hear me. Yes, please, Usman Abakar, kindly on. Okay, you can't even hear me. I'll chat that. So here is Gabriel Balogun. Call him GB. He's an expert in designing learning systems. He's a very great giver of knowledge. He's quite a cerebral mind. And again, for the second time, he's giving us his time for free just to get people to understand that they can change their fortunes by turning their knowledge into learning systems that they can make money from. And for this particular episode, we've called it Monetize Your Expertise. So I feel privileged to have GB join us again. And Gabriel, it's your floor, bro. This is being live streamed on YouTube once again. Like I said, that's why we're not recording it. So for adventure, you want to have a replay, just go on to the link I posted in the chat room and we can have that. So Gabriel, over to you. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach, for sharing, for choosing to do this with me. It's a massive, massive, massive honor to be doing this again. I totally enjoyed the last time I did it when I was in Abuja. And I really, really, really hope that we can all get something amazing from today's session. So the way today's class will run is going to be primarily a demo. What that means is that we will be using the chats a lot to communicate. So first test, if you can hear me loud and clear, just say I can hear you in the chat so that I know that we are doing this together. All right. I am going to also pick one lucky professional off the charts and use that person's expertise. So that person and I will co-create their course live, or will co-create a system live. It could be a course, a bootcamp, whatever it is you want. We can co-create it live, and then everybody can learn from that process and replicate it. So it's not a talking head session. It's a practical hands-on session. All right. I want to share my screen so that we can begin. Awesome. I can see that everybody can hear me. That makes a lot of sense. That is so, so beautiful. Okay. Let us begin. All right. Welcome to the masterclass for, initially was for CEOs and founders, but I mean, I've opened this up to every single person, professional knowledge experts, consultants, coaches, whatever it is that you do that you know you have extensive expertise at, this class is made for you. So in this class, I'm going to teach you how to build a simple lean and learning system. This is done in conjunction with SECA Africa. So it's primarily a GB and the Octopus doing this together. All right. Quick introduction. My name is Gabriel Balogun. Everybody calls me GB, which is just the first initials of both names. I'm a partner and principal consultant at Assail and Eden. Assail and Eden is a learning design agency that helps businesses across various industries to thrive by solving their wicked problems with learning and development, bespoke learning and development solutions. All right. I also, in my daytime, work as head of learning and development at Money Point, the second fastest growing organization out of Africa. And when I'm not finding ways to help people learn while doing their work, you can find me playing or watching a training game of soccer. So proud to this, I just finished watching Arsenal trash Manchester United. So if I'm not doing this, I'm either doing that, one of the two. All right. So in 120 minutes, I will try and make this as interesting as possible. It could be longer, it could be shorter, but the goal is to shape your thinking on how to build a learning system. All right. And this is my promise to you. In this session, you would learn an easy level-to-level, step-by-step process to design any learning solution of your choice with respect to your expertise, either for yourself or for your business/organization. Now, 3 immediate use cases for what you would learn in this class. Now, if you're a business owner, by going through this session, you would learn a system that can help you educate the people in your business to know exactly what their roles and your expectations for them are from the beginning of from day one on their job. All right. It can serve as an onboarding process. It can also serve, you can use the system or the skills I will teach you today to build a learning system that can be an onboarding process or an orientation process for your business, for the staff of your business. If you're a coach and a consultant, you can create industry level knowledge products. What does this mean? It means that if you belong to an organization like BSG, OSP, Rotary Clubs, IDAN, and many other of those corporate global bodies, you can begin to build a system of learning for that institution. Perhaps, for instance, Toastmaster they teach public speaking, and you have an expertise on personal branding, you can sign a pact with them and say, I'm going to build a personal branding curriculum or a personal branding educational flow for everybody that goes through Toastmasters, and you can be a partnership with them. That's industry level. For speakers and professionals, you can also create courses, boot camps, mastermind programs that can deliver continuous, sustainable, and residual income. So whatever it is you're learning in class today can be used to teach across all. All right. Please. All right, yeah. Awesome stuff. Now let's continue. The big question now is, are we ready? If you're ready, please in the chat say, I am ready. I'll be looking out for our comments. Are we ready? I am ready. That's the answer I want to see in the chat. All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I can see that we are together in this. Now, before we continue, let's begin with something I like to do in all my sessions. It's called a mind opener. And if you can read what my slides are saying very clearly, it says that it is not who you are that holds you back. It is who you think you are not. And I like to use the example of a caterpillar and a butterfly. And biologists will tell you that every butterfly was once a caterpillar, but not every caterpillar becomes a butterfly. And what this literally means is that as you think, I mean, the Holy Book says that as a man thinks, so he is. I like to add that as you continue to think, so you would remain. And this means that irrespective of what you have at the moment, if you think that this is too much work for you, then you would never be able to earn from your knowledge. All right. I want you to think beyond, I have this skill. I have this capacity. I'm earning a salary from this. To seeing yourself as, I have a system that people can pay me to access this knowledge in various formats. And that's the very first thing I want you to begin to think of. All right? As you go through this class, all right? If you think that you're a caterpillar, you would remain a caterpillar for life. And you have the tendency to becoming a butterfly. All right? So your biggest limitation to building a learning system is simply how you perceive yourself and what you can do with your skills. All right? So as we go through this session, do not say anything is too hard to yourself. If it's too much, if you can't take it, just keep staying in class. Just keep listening. All right? Thank God that this is going to be streamed on YouTube, or it's being streamed on YouTube, so you can go back to watching it. Another thing that I usually enjoy in my class is less distraction. So if you can afford it, please help us put your mic on silent. Most conversations will happen via the chat, except with the co-volunteer that would be building their learning system together. All right. We had 120 people, 117 to be exact, as of the last time I checked. It might have gone to 120 people register, but 50 people on the call. So the 50 of us on the call, welcome and welcome to class. Now that we have our minds open, let's begin. So what is a learning system? And because the mistake people make most of the time is they try to figure out what is a learning system. Now, when we say a learning system here, we are not speaking of the generic definition, because if you go on YouTube, on Google to ask what a learning system is, or you ask ChatGPT or BAD, they'll give you a totally different definition from what I'm sharing with you. All right. This is how I define a learning system. It is more than a learning solution. It is more than a learning intervention. Now, a learning solution is usually a tool that you create to help people acquire new skills or knowledge. And that tool could be a course, it could be an ebook, it could be a software, it could be anything. And so when you think of a learning solution, it is more or less like a bridge that connects you from point A to point B, or connects your people from point A to point B. But a learning system is more of a structured and effective way designed for people to learn and develop their abilities. Now, a learning system is a bridge with multiple exits. So everybody can come in through the same way, but then there are different solutions lined out for them. And I'll tell you why this is better than just building a solution. Because when you have a learning system, as you are building for a specific, as you're trying to build a structure around your expertise, you find out that there are several avenues people you can earn from your expertise beyond just the course. Most of what you hear online is, oh, you're very good at this, build a course. Sometimes what people need is not the course. Sometimes what they need is a mastermind. And then there'll be a potential or a portion of your audience that needs a course, a portion of your audience that needs an ebook, a portion of your audience that just needs advisory calls, you know. And so a learning system helps you to structure how you want to share your knowledge with the world. And so you think of it as a bridge, but with multiple exit points that connects to you with the source of the knowledge. So it goes out in various formats. All right. Now, because we are running through this, there's a lot of things that I might not say, so we'll get right into it. To build a learning system that can help you earn from your knowledge, there are 4 things you need to understand thoroughly. And there are 2 ways to teach this. I can teach this by trying to define what each thing means, or I can teach this via a demo, which is what I prefer. Now, popularly, most people will call it the 3D framework, but I've added an extra D, so I call it the 4D framework. All right. And this 4D framework is made up of 4 Ds. The first D is called discovery. The second D is called design. The third D is called development. And the 4th D is called deployment. Now, I want a volunteer. And this is how it will work. I want you to, DK Jonah, chill now. I want you to tell me what it is that you are extremely good at, and then I will decide who the volunteer would be. So in the chat box, tell me what it is you have so much expertise at, because it's going to be a conversation, you and I, and if you don't have enough expertise at it, we may literally just drag the class backwards. So if you have 7 to 10 years experience doing a certain thing, it doesn't mean that if you have 4 years or 5 years, you can't monetize. I'm just saying there are certain questions, if you've done it for 10 years, that you can give me answers to on the spot. All right. Okay, so Jonas says productivity and content creation. Olushola says people management and process improvement. Joy says translation and French language. Okay, that seems exciting. My most likely may go for something a lot harder than the usual. Who else? Sinami says 5 years auto fixing. What does auto fixing mean? Automobile. Okay. Any other person? 12 years expertise in marketing, site skills, and interior design business. Okay, that also seems very exciting. Victoria Counseling and Compare. Mental health and addiction specialist. Writing, speaking, English language teaching, program and event planning. Okay. For the sake of time, I would pick looking for something that is totally out of the ordinary. Skill stream clarity. Because I want people to know that you can actually monetize anything. All right, so let's work with Joy. Translation and French language. All right, Joy, if you're in a good place, let me see. Admin, can you please make Joy like a co-admin with me so she can unmute herself and then we can sort of have a conversation.
You can actually unmute herself.
Okay, so Joy, please unmute yourself. Hi, Joy, can you hear me? Hi, Joy, can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me? I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Awesome. So Joy, you are going to be my partner and we'll try and create a learning system for your expertise using the 4D framework. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, so the first thing we do is discover. And like the name entails, discover, I'm speaking to everybody now. So discover literally means what discover is. Discover. But there are 3 things you do in the discovery phase. So the other phases, these are also phases in your development, in your system creation process. There's the discovery phase, the design phase, the development phase, and the deployment phase. All right. So in your discovery phase, there are 3 major things you need to do. The first thing is to identify what performance gaps are. Analyze what already exists and engage stakeholders. Now, when I say identify performance gap, you have to think about your expertise and how it helps people do what they need to do or what they currently do better. So it's not just identifying needs or identifying what they do not know or what they need to know to be able to, to be good at translating French. Let's stay with French, all right? But what does an high-performing French translator sound like? What is it that they know? What should they be able to do? That is what identifying performance gap means. It also means that if you're running a business and you have a staff or your workforce, they are struggling with productivity, you have to ask yourself, what is causing them to perform poorly? It is not just what they need to know to do their job better. It is what is causing them, what is the gap? Is it a tool? Is it a documentation that I have not done? Or is it a knowledge problem? All right. And there are majorly 3 things you try to satisfy when you're identifying performance gaps. The first thing is knowledge. The second thing is skill. And the third, so some of these things I'm saying now, they are not on the screen, so you have to write them down. Knowledge, skill, and behavior. And so this means that for performance to take place, whoever is how do I put this down? For performance to take place, that means that the person must be competent to deliver on what is required. Now, for a person to be competent, the person must know that stuff, must have the required skill for that stuff, and must have the behavior for it. So a coach is not a coach if all he knows is just coaching methodology. What makes a coach competent is that he has the knowledge of the coaching methodology. He is skilled at delivering those methodology that he knows, and he has the right behavior and ability to handle cases when they come. So it's not just knowledge, there is skill and there is behavior. So Joy, let's create. So I'm going to be asking some questions and you just build like, so maybe on your notepad, you can have something called, and everybody can do it together. So please, everybody take notes. Let's begin with discovering and say, in your experience as a French translation expert, let me put it that way. Is that what you are, Joy?
Yes, as a French translator, right?
Yeah, as a French translator, what would you say is the knowledge gap for people that are trying to learn how to translate from English to French? What is the knowledge gap that they have?
It's often a non-mastery of one of the languages, either French or English.
So a knowledge problem will be, what did you call it?
Non-mastery, or let's say not above average mastery of either language or either languages.
Okay, let me see if I can use the whiteboard here so everybody can see what I'm writing on the screen. Oh, no. Why are you in a hurry, sir? Give me a second. Let me. It's interesting. Huh. Apparently, there's no white spots. So let me share. Give me. All right, guys, can you see a whiteboard on the screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so let's start with discovery or discover. So what we are doing now is we're identifying knowledge gaps, remember? So identifying performance gaps. Identifying performance gaps. All right. And we want to identify these gaps across three things: knowledge, skills, and behavior. Because if you cannot successfully define this, you would build blindly. I should use that word. Oh, smokes. Okay. Now, you mentioned that the first problem is that they have a Joy, you're with me, right? Non-mastery of,
yes, either languages, either French, either French or English.
Of either French or English. So we're going to try and identify 2 problems each per gap. Okay, so what would you say is another problem when it comes to knowledge? Knowledge, not skill, knowledge.
Oh.
So think of it as, what is the biggest problem that my potential customers have as far as what it is I want to sell to them is concerned from a knowledge perspective? This is where most of the work is.
Okay, cultural knowledge.
So when you say non-mastery of either French or English language, do you mean it from vocabulary? Do you mean it from? Okay, so
vocabulary. Vocabulary, grammar, the semantics of, the structure of the language. So they might know the language, but the intricacies, the details of the language, they might not master it.
Oh, okay. All right. So there is the problem of non-mastery of either French or English semantics and language
grammar and vocabulary.
Let's just leave it at language, semantics, and structure. We get the point. Awesome. So what would you say the second one? Cultural awareness, or what did you call it?
Yes. Cultural knowledge. That's also cultural awareness. Yes.
We call cultural awareness. All right. Now, in terms of skill, what do you think is limiting them from being able to perform better as French translators?
Software, the translation softwares.
Okay, so translation. So I want us to think, right? I want you to write, to tell me this as, to make this very, very potent, we'll write it as problems. So lack of mastery, lack of a mastery of either French or English, okay? Lack of
cultural awareness,
either language okay, let's make it lack of
just lack of cultural awareness, because it's a strong component in translation.
Okay, so cultural awareness, I mean, that works. Lack of cultural awareness. Now, in terms of skill, what will you call it?
It's still the same thing.
Software.
Absence of, yes. Oh, yeah, still, see, if there is an absence of, if there is no knowledge of the use of the translation softwares, or the non-mastery, because the mastery goes a long way in output and performance.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Oh. Okay, so this is what I mean when I say skill. Not when you say absence of softwares, that you are not going to build, your system is not that you are building a software, is it? Are you building a software?
No, you buy the software, but you have to learn how to use the software. There's a software, there's a dedicated software for translation.
Okay, so you would say so the problem with skills is that there's an inadequate ability to, or lack of an ability to use the software. Is that
yes.
it?
Yes.
Okay.
Because there is training attached to using the software.
Use the software. Okay. So point 2. What would you say is also another skill problem that they have?
Research abilities, because research is a strong component in translation.
It's a lack of research skills. What is research? Lack of research ability, lack of research abilities. All right, so let's talk behaviors now. What would you say is a behavioral problem that these talented people, or people that want to learn how to be translators, what is the behavioral problem you think, or from experience, you know they have?
Inability to work under pressure and with tight deadlines.
Hmm.
And inattention to details. Those are the 2 most common problems, I'd say.
So inability to work under pressure.
Yes.
Right?
And meet deadlines, yes.
So what would you say is causing them to have the inability to work under pressure? Because when you say inability to work under pressure, you can't sell that as one of the benefits for people to, it's vague. Inability to work under pressure is vague.
Oh, Okay, let me tell you how it is. The field, it's competitive. It's competitive anywhere you are, because for a long time it's been done online, which means that if somebody calls you up in Lagos at 11 p.m., which somebody has done, a client has done to me, and you're not ready, you don't want to take the job, there's another person in the next few minutes taking up the job. And then as the client is asking you, if you'd be able to take on that project, the client is also giving you his or her deadline. Like, I want it, would you be able to deliver tomorrow before noon for my meeting, or before my meeting starts? And somebody who is not, well, some people they just have a natural propensity, and then the technical ability to just jump into it. And they have, they already have, what do I call it? They have the bank, their software, they've worked with the software, they can jump into it and get it done. Somebody who is not so armed, so prepared to take it on will not.
Okay, so that's still not a behavioral problem. So let's use something that is very popular. Productivity, for instance. If we say, okay, what is the behavioral problem for people that cannot be, what's the behavioral problem that people who are not productive have? One will be procrastination. That's a behavioral problem. Do you understand now? So when you say that you are a translator, what is a behavioral problem that you, and it's okay if, I mean, it's totally okay if there is no behavioral problem, we can still move on and go to something else.
Yeah.
But as an individual, as a translator, what could be something that is limiting them from becoming, in terms of their behavior, that is limiting them from becoming a better translator than they currently are? That is what behavioral gaps are.
Can we say inattention to details? Could that be?
That's an attention problem. Yeah.
Okay, and it has nothing to do with it.
Of an attention to detail. Okay. Do you have any other one?
I think it's because I am not understanding it the way, like, I know, I don't know, maybe I'm not understanding it the way you want it.
Okay, no, it's fine. Let's move on with this,
because there's so many.
It's fine. Let's move on with it. Don't worry. So for sake of time, let's move on to this.
There are translators who do not meet deadlines. They are known for always, not meeting deadlines. At a certain point in time, no matter how good they are, it's a problem for clients. It becomes a big problem. It's a big issue in the industry.
Okay. So that's a vital problem. Not meeting deadlines could be.
Yes.
Okay, so let's call it not meeting deadlines.
Now, whatever the reasons are for not meeting the deadlines, it's not, it's not the client's problem. That is the translator's problem.
Yes, of course, it's the translator's problem. Not meeting deadline. Now, what we've done so far in the last couple of minutes is just to fix one part of the discovery, which is identifying performance gap. We are still in the discovery phase. So the next part we want to handle now will be analyzing what exists. So let's do that, analyzing what currently exists. Currently exists. Guys, please, are we following? If we're following, can you let me know in the chats? You can just say, yes, we're following or something, so that I know that we are together and have not lost us. All right, so let me see. Yes, we're following. Awesome. All right, so Madam Joy, what would you say currently exists as a solution to all these problems that you have identified? What is currently in the market that is servicing these gaps? Because you have to also understand that if you are going to create a solution to this, you don't want to also create what already exists. So what already exists in the market that you are creating a solution for? So you come into the market with a sense of differentiation. Because it's also part of your discovery phase. You are ensuring that you don't go into the market. If footballers, for instance, are complaining of boots being hot for them when they play, if you're going to bring a solution to that problem, you're not also going to go and create a boot with the same materials. You most likely create a boot that has the ability to take coolants. So everybody that buys your boots will buy it with coolants that they can pour in it during the games to ensure that their legs are not hot. But you would not have created such a solution if you did not know what was already in the market. So from your experience as an expert, what already exists as a solution to these problems?
We have
is it
the
courses,
traditional,
is it conferences?
there are courses, of course. We have traditional tools. There are courses that exist, of course, for both English and French. And when it comes to cultural awareness, it's a bit tricky because cultural awareness, needs you to have, some knowledge, a smattering knowledge, to have, experienced the culture either directly or indirectly. So you still have to, if you haven't experienced the culture directly, you have to be reading a lot to have an experience or to have some cultural knowledge, in the work you're doing.
Okay.
Yes. Of course, there are courses.
So we have traditional
lots of courses.
Too.
Yeah, we have, a lot of courses for language, for the language improvement, whether it's French or English. Resources are bound online right now. For lack of ability to use the software, there are courses also. There are retailers, who sell the courses already.
Resources. Okay.
Yeah. For research abilities, the translator will have to better his or her, research abilities. But I think that maybe what is missing, but that is really maybe it's to optimize performance. It's also terminology banks and glossaries, because it helps a lot. It helps translators a lot. But they are not, sometimes, if you're lucky, like the UN will give you access to its glossary or its terminology bank. If you have access to that, you are working very fast. Your performance peak is great. But if an organization or an agency does not have a terminology bank or a glossary, then you're on your own.
All right, that works perfectly. Thank you. So everything you just previously said will fall under resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right. Now the third phase of, where's my slide again? Let me see. Sorry.
Is it the lack of attention and not meeting deadline?
No. We are good with that. No problem.
Okay.
Then the third. So my screen says, yeah. So identifying performance gap, analyze what exists, engage stakeholders. Yeah. So, and what engaging stakeholders literally mean is you're part of also, now that you've done this from your experience, we've done these two things from my experience. Engaging stakeholders literally means, we can't do that on the call because it's a personal research. It literally means that you are talking to the people that are potential buyers and you are comparing the answers they give you with the things you have identified as performance gaps, just to ensure that this is not just something you've done from your head. It also means that it is something that aligns with them. All right. So if I would say that would be one, speaking with potential buyers. Two also means defining what makes, let me call it your USP, unique selling proposition. What makes your own program or your own system different from whatever it is that's already in the market. All right. Now, let me see if I can add. Yes. So this is the first one. So once you've successfully done these three things, you have done what the discovery phase is. And the beauty with doing this phase or starting with this is that it helps you go on to design something that people want to pay you money for. All right. If all you have done was just go into the market and say, I have experience with this, and you just create something, you will be trying to force people to buy what you have created. All right. But having an opportunity to identify what performance gaps are, and then comparing it with what already exists, and then also speaking to your stakeholders, give you an opportunity to ensure that you are building for your people. Now, before we proceed to the design phase, I want to ask the audience, is there any question you have as regards this space? You can drop it in the chat and then let's pick it up from there. I really hope I've not lost anybody. It's a lot easier doing this if it's a physical session, but just stay with me. Do you have any question as regards what the discovery phase is about? If you have questions, please drop them in the chat. Anybody? Okay, so FLA says great. Guys, please talk to me, feedback. Let me know that we are doing this. We're doing this together. Okay, no questions so far. All right, let's good to go. Yes, so someone said that, how do you manage the current market pricing? And that is where you're analyzing what currently exists stands for. The discovery phase is like the research phase that you must do before your course, before you create anything. You have to ask yourself, how much do people pay for translation tools and how much value do they have? The courses that already exist for language improvement, how much do they go for? The resources that exist, are they free? And if they are not free, how much do they cost? Taking into consideration all those things helps you to know how much you want to put a price to your program, but it's still very early for you to put a price to your program. You've not designed it yet. All you're doing is still discover. All right. So as you proceed to the next phase, you might begin to think of money. All right. So the next phase here is what we call design. Yes, let me resume sharing this. And in the design phase, you do three things. All right. The things you do in the design phase is, one, you define what the learning objectives are. All right, that's the first thing you do in the design phase. You try to define what the learning objective is. And usually the learning objective comprises of a couple of things. One, you have to define what the learning goal is, and then what the learning outcomes are. Okay? Now, what's the difference between, oh, shoot, I made this thing bigger. Let me make it smaller. Yeah. Apparently, it looks like I cannot move this. Okay, I can. Let's make this bigger. This is the design phase. Now, without doing the discovery phase, if you jump to just designing your program, you will build and miss. All right, so Joy, now that we have identified this problem, are you with me?
Yes, listening.
Now that we've identified these gaps, discovery phase. Now that we've identified these gaps, what would you say? What solution would you like to create? Let's even start with that. What solution would you like to create for don't let me even call it a solution. Let me call it an intervention. What intervention can you as an expert create that can solve these 6 problems that you have listed? Would it be a course? Would it be a boot camp? Would it be a mastermind? What do you think you would like to create as an intervention to solve this problem?
In my personal opinion, I wouldn't think of a course because I believe there are so many courses out there, and I know translators are out, looking for work. So I'd say a mastermind or a boot camp, something you organize, let's say over a weekend, bring them together, and then yes, just
okay,
yeah, work
so
on
let's
with
say
them.
that now, if let's call that, so we're designing a boot camp, Abi? A boot camp.
Yes.
We're designing the boot camp. Now, what would be the goal of this boot camp? Let me make what the goal. Let me explain what a learning goal is, or so how for this training, for instance, before I started, I shared what my promise was, which was that at the end of this session, the goal of this session was to teach you a level by level and step-by-step guide for you to create any learning solution of your choice. That is my learning goal for this training. Now, when you think of your boot camp, what would be the learning goal?
It will be
because if you cannot define, and when you go on,
yes, maybe to enable translators bring out quality, produce quality translations, standard quality translations, because like I said, they know the language. They just, when there is non-mastery, it's the little details, and these are what counts. The punctuation, the grammar, for example, the prepositional phrases, those are the details, and that is what people look out for. That's what, if a client has an in-house, verifier or proofreader, that is, or reviewer, that is what they will be looking out for. So it's those details I would like to, go over with them, or I wouldn't necessarily teach them that, but I will produce, yes, I will put together something, that shows it to them, so that they see that this is what brings quality to their work as translators.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So if I should make it as simple, as clear as what you've just said, does this work to enable translators produce standard language translation from English to French and vice versa?
Yes, standard quality translations, yes. Right.
Standard quality language translation from English to French. All right. Now, learning outcomes are more or less like the things that your people...
Sorry, can I interrupt you? We actually have a language for quality, the standard quality. It is correct and accurate.
Okay, so standard quality, no comma, is that what you're saying?
No, what I mean for, we said standard quality, but I just remember that we have, we have words for it in the profession, and that is correct and accurate. You have to produce correct and accurate translations.
Okay, and accurate.
Yeah.
Translations. All right. Now, what's the difference between a learning goal and a learning outcome? A learning goal is the vision or the thing, the inspirational thing you want them to be able to do. Learning outcomes are more or less like the things that they should be able, that they must be able to do when they are done with your bootcamp. So can we list 3 to 4 things that they must be able to do when they are done with your bootcamp? Number 1.
You should be able to punctuate correctly.
Okay. Let me write. At the end of this bootcamp, learner or participants must be able to 1. Punctuate correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Another one.
Use accurate prepositional phrases.
Use accurate. What did you call accurate? What?
Prepositional. No, preposition. Prepositional. Yes. Phrases.
Okay.
Because it's sometimes
what else should they
nightmare.
be able to do? What else should they be able to do?
Transfer.
You see that as you are
transfer.
Okay, transfer.
Transfer information correctly, because they're from one language to the other. Because sometimes you have mistranslations, you have non-translations. These are actually what the expressions we use in translation. There are mistranslations, there are non-translations.
Okay. Then let's get one more. Are you still with me? Hello?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, you think? All right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the pet peeves, the real problems. Yeah.
I also want you to know that these things you have listed as outcomes are these solutions to these problems. Because this whatever we are doing here is not indifferent of this. Now, the reason why I'm asking is you mentioned 3 things here, but you've not mentioned anything about that if they come to if they go to your bootcamp, they'll be able to use the software properly. They'll be able to grow research abilities. They'll develop maybe project management skills that can help them meet deadlines. So what you're doing here, these first 3 things you've called are possibly a satisfaction to just number 1 of the gaps that you've identified.
Yes.
So if your tool or if your bootcamp is going to satisfy these 6 things, your learners must be able to do things across these 6 things. You should be able to enter your bootcamp and have a solution to all the 6 things.
Okay, how can I put it to you now? Because if they don't have any computer-assisted translation training, it will be difficult to help them in any way, unless I don't know, unless I improve on their word. Let's say they want to use Word. They want to use Word to do their translation. Then I will just see if they are very good at using the features of a Word.
Okay. All right. So
because the software, when you work with the software, it has its own platform. It is not like the Word document. And the platform really has other features that, that help you with performance and quality control also, and management, project management. So it's a total package. So if they don't know the software, I don't know. I'll have to.
Okay, so
I wouldn't want. They will have to go for the training for the software.
Okay, so are you saying that you are building remember when I started my definition, I said that, or started my training, I said that a system is not one solution. A system is you looking at an entire problem and creating something that can accommodate, or something that can be an intervention to all 5 or 6 of the major, maybe 4 or 5 of the 6 problems that you've identified. All right, so if you are going to solve this problem, because you just mentioned now that the software would help with research abilities, will help with paying attention to details, will help with meeting deadlines. Do you want to?
No, quality control. If the translator is lazy and is, or is not, worried about meeting deadlines, the software cannot help them, to meet their deadlines. They have to optimize the use of the software to help them. Yes.
Okay. So the software is a tool that if they don't get their behaviors right, it's just be a tool. They won't be able to use it to the best of its intended purpose. All right. So let's get one more learning outcome. People that attend your bootcamp, what else will they be able to do? I know somebody in the chat, Simeone, has also dropped some points. I think she might also be in your space. She said, create grammatically correct sentences. Does that fall under?
Maybe network and partnerships. Network.
I didn't get that. You said?
That, like, I could build in networking and partnerships, because where sometimes a very good, brilliant translator might have issues or challenges meeting deadlines, but quite brilliant. So I would put in networking and partnership, collaborations, as a component.
No, we're not designing the models
behavior.
Yet. We're saying we're not that. Let's leave that for models. We're still saying those that come to your bootcamp. we are defining what the learning outcomes will be for them. Are you saying that at the end of your bootcamp, they'll be able to collaborate properly? Is that what you're saying? Are you going to teach them how to collaborate properly?
Yes, it could be a module, a short module, because in collaboration, you find, others who have, who are stronger in areas where you're weak, sort of. And yes, you can work on projects, on big projects that way.
Okay, so we can say at the end of this bootcamp, participants will be able, let's not use was, or would be able to punctuate correctly, use accurate preposition phrases, transfer intended information correctly, and build strong collaboration skills. We good?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. All right. Now that we have defined what the learning objectives are, let us try and define. Let's move to drafting. The next thing you do in the design phase, after you've defined what the learning goal and learning outcomes are, is to draft the curriculum, the learning curriculum. Okay. Now, in drafting your learning curriculum, you have to, there are two things to do when you try to draft your learning curriculum. You want to ensure that the curriculum you are drafting would help solve these problems that you've listed here, and also ensure that after they've gone through it, they will be able to do these things you've listed out as the outcome. Are we together? Madam Jo, are you with me?
Yes.
All right, so let's say that, because most of the time, if you are going to solve the problem of a lack of mastery of either French or English language semantics and structure, what would you teach them to be able to solve this problem for them? What do they have to know? What do they have to know?
Could you please, could you give me the question again, please?
So for them to we are saying now, okay, so we are saying that we want to build a curriculum that can guarantee that anybody that comes to your bootcamp would not have these problems again. The first question would be, what are you going to teach, or what should be taught that can help them move, that can solve the problem of a lack of mastery of either French or English language semantics and structures? Do you understand my question?
Yes, yes. I could teach them how to break up sentences semantically. That is, in meanings, each block of, because we are dealing with a comprehension problem if there is non-mastery of either languages. So if that is the case, I'll teach them, though they will still need to improve, on their working languages. But on the spur of the moment, I will teach them how to read semantically. How to read semantically in the sense that they will have to break up sentence structures to get the meaning. I will teach them that, which is what people do in interpretation. When you're interpreting, you don't interpret everything the other person says. You break it up. Once you have the meaning out, you say it in a shorter way. So that is what I'll teach them, for example.
So, okay. when you're writing your curriculums, another vital point to note is that when you're trying to write the topics that you will touch on, you want to write them in a way that they sound like, you want to write them in present continuous. So you said something that you will teach them how to read semantically to break up what?
Sentence structures.
Okay, sentence structures. Now, I'm writing this out so that we can, because this is not what we called, we'll change this something. What is the benefit? What's the benefit of this thing? When an interpreter reads semantically to break up sentence structure, what's the benefit?
It's easier comprehension, understanding.
No, comprehension,
Meaning,
understanding of.
You grasp, yeah, there is grasping of the meaning.
Okay, so grasping the meaning of what they are reading, Abi?
Yes, that in every sentence, the reader, is able to grasp the meaning.
Okay, so let's use a basic, simple how to read sentences. Say how to break, correct me if I'm wrong when I'm done, how to break up sentence semantics to
break up
derive the real meanings. Is this the right way to write it? Is this what you do?
Sentence structures.
Okay, sentence structures. Okay.
Yeah.
To derive the real meaning, Abi?
Yes.
Okay.
To derive meaning. Yeah, you can also say to derive meaning.
Okay. Okay. So this sounds more like, I mean, if I am a struggling interpreter, because you also have to think of your topics as solutions to problems that struggling translators can have. If I have a lack of mastery of either French or English language semantics and structure, if I'm reading through your landing page and I'm seeing the things you're going to teach me and I see how to break up sentence structures to derive the meaning, I would want to sign up for your course because I know if I can do this, it helps me to solve this first problem. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes.
So for everybody on the call, that's how you write your modules or your topics. You just don't write anything vague. You do so for instance, you cannot call it vocabulary building. What is vocabulary building? It does not solve my problem. If I have a problem of vocabulary, if I stumble on your page and I see vocabulary building as one of the things I will learn when I pay for your program, it doesn't solve my problem. You might have gotten my attention with the goal, oh, I should be able to do this. But then the next thing people look out for when they pay for anything is, what will I be able to do and what are you going to teach me? If I cannot identify my problem in what you are going to teach me, then I'm not going to pay you for anything. Is that clear? Like everybody on the calls, do you get me, guys? So you have to ensure that as you are listening, guys, are you with me? Do you get what I just said? Awesome. Don't worry, I know it's not a class it's not a talking head class, so you have to follow diligently or else you would miss it out. All right, so we're in class, so this is teaching, proper teaching. All right, so now that you have gotten the knack of this topical writing, Madam Joy, let's look for another topic that can help us solve So what would we do to solve the lack of cultural awareness?
Really, like I said, for cultural awareness, if you're not directly experiencing the culture, you really have to read it. You have to read about it. You have to read about it. You have to visit, even, just a visit, travel, to the place, will be recommended.
Okay. So we cannot say it's something that you can really teach in your boot camp, because it requires that they have to live in the experience of that, right?
Unless I read up on it and, teach it to them. And then provide resources where they could learn more.
Okay. So another thing that you can do is, I did also say this. Let me do a quick definition here. So when you're drafting your curriculum, there are a couple of things that make up your curriculum: syllabus, resources, additional, well, let me call it local names. That's additional reading materials. So syllabus are primarily topics that you would, let me use what we've all gone through. So in your secondary school, in SS1, for instance, mathematics, the syllabus is the lesson notes that the teacher has. It contains all the topics that he will teach. That is what the syllabus is. That same teacher may decide that to be able to understand mathematics better, there are other additional materials that I want you to read.
Right.
Then he can decide that after we've done topic 1 to 4, there's going to be a test. And then topic 5 to 8, another test. The whole design of that system that will help the learners learn better, the activities involved, the things they would learn, materials they would read up on, that entire process is what they call a curriculum. So a curriculum is not just what they teach in class. A curriculum involves the entire activity that will take place. All right.
Yes.
So if we're going to build a curriculum for your boot camp, there's going to be a syllabus, which is what we are currently building. There's going to be additional written materials, and there are also going to be assessments.
Right.
To ensure that whatever they are learning sticks. These 3 things are the things that primarily make up what your curriculum for the boot camp would be. All right. Some may even add activities, because activities are different from assessments. So let's continue with syllabus. For Adeswa, I know Adeswa said I should repeat what I said. So Adeswa Omedi, what I was trying to say is that as you are building the topics in your syllabus, you want to ensure that they sound like a solution to the problems that you have identified that your audience have. And also ensure that by the time they've gone through it, they can achieve the outcomes that you have set. So quick case study. If Madam Joy teaches the people that show up in their boot camp how to break up sentence structures to derive meaning, what she would have consistently done for them is that she would have helped them solve the problem of a lack of mastery of the languages that she wants to teach them, which is French or English. And at the same time, she would have helped them achieve the outcome of transferring intended information correctly. Do you see how all this connects now? So if what people usually do is that they just jump to syllabus. Oh, I want to do a course. I'll teach this, teach this, teach this. But if you've not defined, if you've not done this phase well, you end up creating a nice to know syllabus that would not have the right outcomes. So people will come to your program and feel like you scammed them because they cannot do, or they've not found a solution to the problem that they had initially. Do you see how all this connects now? So whatever we are doing, each process is needed. You don't do a curriculum without defining what your outcomes will be. You don't define outcomes without even understanding what the performance gaps are or what currently exists. And you can't claim that this is the intervention. You can't claim that my intervention, let me write it out, learning intervention. You can't claim that my learning intervention will be a boot camp if you don't even know what already exists in the market. All right, so everything that you are doing in each phase leads to the next. You see that we've not even decided whether it will be an online or an offline boot camp. We've not decided any of that yet because we have not even finished the design. And time is almost up. All right, where we stop, we stop. We'll pick it up at some other time. Or you can chat me privately and then we can work something out. All right, now, let's say that the lack of cultural awareness, you may not be able to teach it because they have to experience it. You may say that there will be an additional reading material, maybe called history of French language or something. Abi?
Yes, or I could just, what I could put together for them might be a comparative study.
Comparative study.
2 or 3, yes, of both cultures they are dealing with, depending on let's say where they are working, where they are working from, who they are working with, so that they are, they are in a better position to understand their clients, well.
Thank you, Madam Joy. But also thank you, DK, for sharing this. It shows that we are getting the required knowledge that we need. All right, so we've decided that knowledge gap 2 will be solved via a comparative study of both cultures, which is an additional reading material. So it's not something you really teach in class. It's just something you give them to go and read on their own. Awesome. Okay, so
one could introduce it.
Introduce it in what sense?
Introduce it that this is what happens here, and this is what happens in the other place. Talk about their food, talk about their music, talk about what they do in their leisure time. Do they break in the afternoon? In some cultures, even within Africa, they close in the afternoons to go for lunch before they return to work, which we don't do in Nigeria. We just work, throughout the day. It's true, we take lunch breaks, but we don't close the office to do that.
Okay. All right, get you. We're already delving into development. Let's still stay on design. When we get to development, we will determine the best way to deliver it. We're already talking about delivery. So we're still drafting. All right. So what would you now say, now that we've dealt with knowledge gaps, skill gaps, lack of an ability to use the software, what would you teach to ensure that what would you do that can help them solve this problem?
It depends on where they are, with the software. Do they have a smattering knowledge that is just from knowledge, or they don't have, anything, they've never used it? If they've never used it, I don't think I'll get into it unless that is the focus of the training or of the boot camp. If they've used it a bit and they've not mastered all the features, I could, come in to help them with learning about, even learning and using hands-on, hands-on learning of the other features that could help with their performance and output.
So what would you say is one of the popular softwares out there? One of the popular translation softwares out there?
SDL traders. The SDL written together, yes, SDL, then traders, space, traders. Traders, yes, DOS.
Okay, traders.
No R.
Now,
no
do
R.
you think? Okay.
No R. Voila.
Okay, remove the R.
Okay.
Do you think that just so that you can help tick off this skills gap, do you think that a hands-on training on how to use the features of this tool would also help you achieve this goal of enabling translators to produce correct and accurate translations? Nobody can really teach a tool from beginning to end. But what is a boot camp if I cannot also learn how you use the tool?
Introduction, it could be an introduction to the use. So we go on the platform, they can start working with it. They might not get to know all the features, but they can start working with it. So an introduction will be fine.
Introduction to so what do you use the tool to do? What are like 2, 3 things you can
use it to translate?
Okay. Okay, so
the good thing about it is that, yes, as you're translating from one, it's kind of, you have a feature that helps you download your source language, the language you're translating from. Once it's downloaded, on one side, it's two-sided. Then the other side is now open for you. You're seeing your source language, and then as you're translating, you have your target language to your right. Yes, you have your target language to your right. Your source language is to your left, right? Let's assume your source language is English. I'm translating from English to French, right? Now, all the translations I'm doing in French on my right, as I'm translating, I have, the possibility on the spot to keep on checking. I cross-check that what I'm translating is right there in front of me.
Okay. Does this work?
And it has,
using the SDL traders features to download source languages and cross-check translations?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So remember that we have to write it in a way that someone who is struggling with this tool can see it and say, okay, if I'm struggling with this tool, this might be a bootcamp that I will attend, since they say they are going to show us the features that can help us download source languages and cross-check. Okay. Yeah, I want to do this.
Let me start. Source language, it has to be source language text or document, because there's a document you're working on. Language
docs. Let's use text.
Yes.
I know translators like that word.
Document
now you see that
texts.
Yeah. Now you see that with teaching this second one, we would be able to achieve outcome 1 and also outcome 2. Right? Or am I wrong? Hello? Madam Joy, are you here? Are you still
Outcome
here?
2 is really, hello, I think outcome 2 comes from your own knowledge of the language.
Yeah, but if you are promising them that they'll be able to do it, you can't say it's on their own knowledge. There has to be something in your curriculum that helps them achieve outcome 2. Do you understand? You can't say it's their own knowledge. If that's the case, then it shouldn't be part of the things they would learn when they come to your boot camp. Well, if you say it's something they would learn when they come to your boot camp, then one of the things you teach or you give them to read would help them do this. So could it be that when they participate in this comparative study of both cultures, it gives them an understanding of prepositional phrases, and then they can use it when they are translating. But something in your curriculum must help them achieve this outcome, or else it should not even be part of your outcomes. If you cannot guarantee that anything in your curriculum will deliver it, then it should not be part of it.
Then it should be number 1. It should be the number 1 point that will help them with that.
Number 1 point in what place? Punctuate correctly.
Breaking up sentence structures to derive meaning.
Also helps them achieve accurate prepositional phrases, right?
Yes.
So that's also fine, no problem. As long as it's in your syllabus, no problem. I think I might need to take one more so that
and I can give you an example of that.
As much as I would love to hear the example, we're also running
yeah, but that is it. That is really where we see it.
Okay. Yeah. So let's say you also mentioned now that we may not be able to touch all these skill gaps because I mean this is a demo. So let's focus on this final outcome.
Sorry, to
build strong
to transfer intended information correctly using the SDL features helps. Using the platform helps. Awesome. Because you don't forget any segment. There is always that tendency that a translator could forget a segment or a sentence. That platform helps you to translate everything.
Oh, makes sense. Makes sense. All right. So 3 out of our outcomes, we have 2 things in our syllabus that satisfy 3 out of our outcomes already. So this builds strong collaboration skills. Is there something you would want to teach them that can help them live with this skill?
Maybe, I don't know, maybe
it doesn't necessarily have to be something
from the
you
ethics,
teach them.
Like the professional ethics, you know, that we work together as a team. We are there for each other. So it could come, you know,
understanding
from
the translators, professional ethics.
Now ethics, yeah.
Should we even use understanding? Let's say, yeah, well, this works. It's fine. Now, for assessment, when your learners go through this syllabus, what would you say? How would you test their knowledge? What are the things you would do to test their knowledge? That whatever you are teaching them is sticking.
First, I'm going to give them 1 or 2 paragraphs to translate.
Okay, so we'll call it
depending on the level. Yeah, it could be more than 2 paragraphs because I'll be checking of how they break up sentence structures to derive meaning. I'll be checking on them not leaving any translation out. I'll be checking that there are no mistranslations.
Okay, so that would be, we can say each learner will receive paragraphs of text to translate. All right, so this is one assessment. Is this the only assessment you give them?
I could give them and ask them to use the SDL traders to do their translation, to carry out the translation using SDL traders.
Okay. So
just to see how they use it.
Okay, using the SDL traders tool. Simple. Any other activity you want to do in class apart from us, because assessments are different from activities. Activities are things that you can do to sort of, most of the times activities help with sharpening behavioral skill. So is there any activity in mind that can help sharpen this understanding the translator's professional ethics? That can also ensure that they build strong collaboration skills. So do you want them to?
Unless I just give them scenarios like, yes, and say, what would you do if this happens? What would be your reaction as a professional translator? I could write out 2 or 3 scenarios or scenario, and then ask them, what would be your reaction? What would you do?
Let me make this assessment activities.
Like you're working on a project and the deadline is just 1 or 2 hours away, and the project is not ready, and you get called up by the client or the client's representative. What do you tell the person? Do you say the truth or do you lie? Do you tell him stories or do you tell him it will be, we're sending it in 30 minutes time, knowing fully well that the project, will not be ready in an hour's time, for example.
All right, that works. That makes a lot of sense. All right, so now that we have defined what our learning objectives, in fact, under learning objectives, we defined what our learning intervention would be, what our learning goal will be, what our learning outcomes will be. We've also gone ahead to draft our curriculum. Let us do the final thing in the design phase. The final thing in the design phase is to now determine, it's like in this way I'll stop today, determine the learning method. All right, so let's determine the learning method. Now, to be able to deliver this syllabus efficiently, what learning method do you think is the best? Is it a boot camp where everybody pays and you take them to a resort center for the weekend? They pay. So think through it. I'm not even talking money now, but just think through it. What is the best way, or how would you like to deliver this learning intervention? Do you want to do it online? Do you want to do it offline, in person? So let's start with that.
I'll do it online.
Online. Okay, so it's an online. So online. Online. It's come online. Trying to look for what should I call it? Yes, learning. Let's call it learning methodology. 1. online. So when you say online in one way, is it going to be pre-recorded videos that you would record the videos and then they can watch it at their pace? Or is going to be live sessions like this where they will come on the call and learn?
It will be live sessions so that there will be, there will be exchanges, between
Okay.
I as, yeah.
Let's call that virtual live.
The facilitator
session.
And the learners, yeah.
Okay. What else would you, so if it's virtual live sessions, how are you going to deliver it? Is it a weekend? Is it in a month? Is it every week, 4 times, once every week for 4 weeks, or 3 days? 3 days. So let me even start with, how many sessions would this take? When you look at your curriculum, how many sessions will it take to achieve this?
Let's say minimum will be two sessions. Like this 2-hour session we're having, and another 2 hours. That's really the minimum. If we have, the luxury of time, we could take
it's your course,
each.
So remember, it's your program. You can determine how long.
Yes.
Remember that you want to ensure that they get this, so you don't have to rush it. You determine, and that's where this whole discovery phase also matters, because if you can tell from what already exists, traditional courses for language improvement, for instance, how long do those courses take? How well do they deliver? If you can answer those questions, you have to also, that you're also going to engage with your stakeholders to know how long a course can be for them to lose interest, and how long for, but let's go with,
yeah, I was going to say that it will depend. Yeah, it will really depend on them, which means I'll have to find out from them, I'll have to find out from them the availability,
okay,
make suggestions.
Okay, but ideally you said 2 sessions, Abi. 2,
yeah,
2 hours.
But that's really the minimum. The levels, yeah, because the levels.
Minimum of 2 sessions, 2 hours each. Okay. How would you deliver, for instance? So would you want to put things like presentations? Okay, of course, we've already ascertained that there will be assessments, activities, preferably not just assessments, projects.
Of course, there will be presentations.
Project and scenario-based assessments. Okay, there's also going to be presentations. Okay. Presentations. All right, so with this, you've also determined what your learning method would be. Of course, this was a paid session. Most likely would have gone through a refine and all of that. But so far, so good. We're short of time, people. This is what the design phase looks like. All right. Let me go back to my slides. This is what the design phase looks like. There is still, so let's have some discussions. Guys, if you're still on the call, I'd like to find out are there any questions that you have so far based on the discovery and the design phase that we have gone through? You can drop a chat in the chat box. But are there any questions so far based on what we have learned? Okay, there's none yet. It's a great reminder for me. Okay, no questions yet. I might not be able to go through the remaining of the slides. They're still developed. So let me just walk us through. Once you've done the discovery phase and the design phase, the next thing you need to do is the develop phase. And in the develop phase, there are 3 things you will do. Remember that we've listed out the syllabus, the assessments, everything. The develop phase is where you now develop the content. So those 3 things that we listed as the topics, Madam Joy now will have to go and create the content for it. So what would be the teaching slides for each of those topics? What would an assessment look like? The scenario-based questions, the projects, what will be the topic they will present on? That is what you do in the develop phase. So you take everything that is in your design phase that needs to be created and you begin to create it. That simply is what the development phase is. All right. You also design your learning assessments, ensuring that for each syllabus, for each topic in my syllabus, there is a way to assess that these things that I have taught them learned. It could be a quiz, it could be scenario-based, it could be a project, it could be a presentation, whatever you think they need to know to help them to be able to deliver, whatever you think would help you to gauge the knowledge that you have taught them to ensure that what they are learning sticks. Create it as an assessment, all right? And then finally, train the trainer/facilitator. So if you are the person that is delivering the course, these final points may not apply to you. But if it's something you are going to need extra people to teach with, you also want to bring them together and train them on how you want them to deliver the content that it is that you have created. All right. You want to ensure that they are not just, because it makes no sense that you've done all the work, you've created the content, you've created the assessments, and then somebody that is supposed to take a portion of the program comes up and then does something entirely different. That makes no sense. All right. So in your development phase, you're also training your trainers and ensuring that they have sufficient knowledge to deliver and facilitate learning the way you want them to facilitate it. All right. And then the final phase is deploy. And then what you do in deploy is to communicate this system that you have created. And so for some people, their system could be an online course. For some people, it could be a boot camp. For some people, it could be a collection of trainings that must happen for their new hires. Depending on what you have decided your intervention will be, that is a system. And then you have to begin to communicate that this is what I have created to everybody that is a stakeholder. What is a stakeholder? A stakeholder is everybody that, how do I explain stakeholders now? Stakeholders from a project perspective is everybody that the project that you are working on concerns. All right. So the user of the project, the person that pays for the project, the person that is funding it, you that you are creating it, you guys are all stakeholders. Now, if you're building a learning system, you also want to ensure that you have identified who your stakeholders are. For instance, for the cost that we've demoed with, which is the language translation course, the person that buys the course may not be the person that uses the course. For instance, I may have a kid that wants to learn language translation. I am your stakeholder, but I'm not your user. All right. So how you communicate the benefit of this system to me, this learning system to me is, or this learning solution to me is different from how you would communicate it to the person that will pay for it. So that is all part of your deployment plan. Pilot testing means that now that I have created this, who am I testing it with? You don't want to create something new for the first time and then test it with 1,000 people. It's not the best way. You want to possibly test with 50 people. 50 is even a lot. You want to possibly test with 10 people first or 5 people first, so that you can see gaps in what you have also created. That's what pilot testing is. So you may want to say that the first version of this bootcamp, Madam Joy, the first version of this bootcamp may be free, just so that you can get people's feedback and use that to improve on it. All right. And then while you are pilot testing it, you are also monitoring and evaluating. You're saying, okay, this is what they did in the first session. How was it? What are the feedback that people are giving me? What can I improve on? What did they say they loved the most about this program? And all of that. All right. And that's what monitoring, evaluating, and iterating literally means. All right. And it's the same for all of us. Yes, your prospects can be stakeholders, DK Jonah. Definitely. The goal is, the idea of a stakeholder is anybody that can benefit from this thing. Anybody that is willing enough to pay me for it. Anybody that is willing enough to use it. Those are stakeholders. The people that are creating it with you, they are also stakeholders. So you have to ensure that you manage everybody properly to make sure that the project that you are working on delivers the intended value. All right. Any other question, guys? Valentine says, would the slide be available for reference? Not really. Nope. The slide will not be available for reference. So this video is available on YouTube. You can always go through it again. But the slide is not available for reference. I mean, those that showed up in the physical session got it anyway, but it's a free session, so watch the video again. All right. DK Jonah, what do you mean by, do you sign an NDA with them? What does that mean? You can unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah, well, I was talking about the facilitators and the trainers, because there are some people that, if I have my intellectual property and I'm using it to create something, do I sign an NDA with the facilitators and trainers?
Yes, I advise that you do. I advise that you do sign an NDA with them. It also depends on what you're building. Sometimes what you're building might not require you to sign an NDA. It might just mean that since you are paying them to come and teach, there's no need signing an NDA for that. But if you feel like this thing is valuable and I don't want anybody to use it without my permission, then they can sign an NDA, please.
Okay, so last one. So an NDA and a non-complete clause. So if it's someone on your team that then goes to duplicate what you've done and you didn't sign an NDA and a non-complete clause, how do you now protect yourself?
Yeah, so like I said, it's more of a personal thing. If you want to do it, please do it. If you want to protect yourself, do it. I mean, for some other people, they don't really see it as a big deal. Oh, you can take my slides and use it, but can you teach it better than I will? So it's a function of preference. If you want, but you get what I mean, though. I'm careful to say, I'm careful to say that you should. Yeah, because it's preference. All right, let me end with this, because I promised us 2 hours and I have 2 more minutes. Now, if you've been on the call and you have so much knowledge and you feel like, man, this is just so much work, I don't think I want to do it on my own, and I would like you to do it with me, I would like your organization to do it with me, there are 3 ways or 4 ways actually you can engage my organization. The first way is plan A, which is basically advisory. So you have so much you've done, you have years of experience, and you really don't know you don't know what to build. You don't know what system you should start with that can begin to help you generate money on the spot as you put it to market. You can sign up for my advisory session. It's just 200,000 naira. You have 2 sessions with me for 2 weeks. So 1 session per week, and you have within an hour and an hour, 30 minutes to share your ideas with me, share your experience with me. And you saw how on the call in less than 10 minutes, I was able to take everything Joy was saying and structure it. So if you want something like that, then you can sign up for my advisory session. It's just 200K. If you need me to travel and you want that, no, I must see you, Gabriel, physical, then we can have that conversation privately. But advisory is virtual and it's 2 sessions, once every week, once every 2 weeks. Yeah, it could be once every week, but you have 2 sessions with me and it's 1 hour, 30 minutes, all right? The next phase to that is plan B, which I call system design. Now, what I have done on the call is system design, in the sense that I have worked with her to discover what she can build and then gone ahead to also design it with her. So what you've gotten on the call for free is 1 million naira worth of service. And what that means is that you would not just get the conversations that we have done in the advisory plan, you would also move from idea to concept. So we'll take what has happened in your advisory session and then design a solution or a system. And we can say this system we're designing would have a course in it. It will have possibly a boot camp in it, depending on how you want to do it. But the should I say pluses? But the difference between this and the next plan is that I do not implement. So I take your ideas, advise you on what the best system to start with is, and then I design it with you, not for you. I design because I can't really design for you. You are the experts. I'm just the operations guy. So I design with you, but I don't implement. You go to market yourself. You figure out the tool, you figure out what your marketing plan is, you figure out all those things on your own. And we have 30 days instead of two sessions. You have 30 days. We do all of this in 30 days. The next plan after this is basically plan B plus implementation. And that's 1.7 million. So I do not just design, I do not advise, not just advise and design, I also implement with you. I tell you, oh, this is the tool that can help you deliver your assessments better. This is the best tool that you can use if you want your sessions to be pre-recorded. This is the best place to create those sessions and host it. Or you want to do videos, these are the best tools to do videos. You want to create manuals, these are the best tools to create manuals. That is what design and execution is, all right? And then I can only take 3 slots for this because it's a lot of work. For the system design and advisory, I can take as many as possible. But this is 3 slots because I'm not just designing, I'm also executing. And then enterprise outsourcing is 3 million naira. Now, the difference between enterprise outsourcing and design and execution is that enterprise outsourcing is primarily for businesses and organizations. So you run a business, you're a business owner, and you want to bring learning and development into your business, and you don't want to deal with the headache. You can outsource that entire department to me. You know the way you can outsource recruitment to a talent acquisition person, or you can outsource the doing of your tax to a tax advisory person, or your accounting to an accountant. You can also hire me for 3 months. I will be with the organization and I will build in it a learning system, orientation system, onboarding system, even run some soft skills training for them. If you need to hire someone that can take over from me, I can walk you through it and all of that. The beauty with this enterprise outsourcing is that I would physically visit you wherever you are in the country once on us. And then if you need me to come again, then that would be on you. But it's 3 million naira quarterly, and I can only take 1 person per quarter. All right. If you need more info, this specific document will be shared to everybody that registered or everybody that's on the call. I think I can export your data. So this document will be shared, and you can always, it has my contact details there. You can always reach me and we can have a conversation privately to discuss that. On this note, I want to say thank you for staying. I know we started with 50 people and then we have 29 people on the call. I know how that can be. Thank you everyone for staying through till the end of this session. I hope you have a beautiful evening. Coach.
Thank you, GB. Well done. That was very detailed, and I hope that everyone here is able to maximize the details that GB has shared. I appreciate the contributions of Madam Joy Ezemonye, who joined all the way from Dakar in Senegal. DK was very active. Thank you, DK, for making the class exciting, joining from London, and every other person who was participatory. Sorry for those who had network issues like Dr. Konoda, I can imagine. Well done, everyone. So this is actually the end of the session. I'll just say 1 or 2 things. If you don't mind, kindly stay for 1 more or 2 minutes before you leave. This session has been live streamed on YouTube. So in case you want to have the chance to revisit this session, please, by all means, go on the YouTube link in the comment section. Kindly copy it out so that you can revisit it. There are other sessions that have been on that channel all the while, so you can also continuously go to watch them. I congratulate Madam Joy for being the guinea pig tonight. I think that has been a very direct benefit for you, and it is just a beautiful thing for you. Yes, kindly subscribe to our YouTube page. DK, what will I do without you? Thank you. You're just a solid social media manager. Thank you for that thought. Yes, so if you go to the YouTube link, kindly remember to register or subscribe. Let me quickly show you some upcoming events. Exactly, somebody was asking in the chat room, when is the next event? The next event is not with GB, but exactly 1 month from today, we're hosting a webinar. And the webinar is titled, Solve Your Problems for Real. This is season 2. We usually host OSP members to speak on our platforms. And so next month, on the 2nd of October, we're hosting members of OSP. This happens once every other month. So if you are an OSP member here, it's either you have been featured before or you will be featured in the future. If you are not an OSP member, I think it is long overdue. OSP is a platform where we allow you express your competence and we get you to network. GB, there is a message in your WhatsApp. Somebody wants you to help them with a project in West Africa. So this is part of the OSP benefits. I think I should mention that here so that
Okay.
you can see the
Let me
benefits
check.
that come from being members of OSP. So for this upcoming event,
Awesome.
we have a waiting room on WhatsApp where we are sharing tips and updates ahead of the event. So I'm going to put that in the chat room. Just click and join the WhatsApp group immediately. It is free. It's absolutely free to join this event. And the waiting room is an advisory room where you can get updates ahead of the event. Then this next event holds 6 times in October, 6 times on Zoom. It's not a free event. This is a paid event. Members of our communities, which is members of OSP, BSG, and our life coaching certification, our EQ certification, and other certifications, they are paying 30K only. But those who are not members of our community are paying 75K to join this course. It's a 6-session strategy course for business owners. If you want strategy for your business, I am the one who will be facilitating all the sessions because my niche is strategy. So if you want to join this course, it is here. I would also put the link in the chat room so you can go on and register, and then you can join the waiting room ahead of those dates in October. So this is where we draw the curtain today. I once again thank all of you who joined the session today. It is absolutely important that you take your business to the next level. I want to advise you to follow up with GB. He has shared his WhatsApp number in the chat room. It is wisdom to befriend him and leverage his skills to build something that can make money for you and take you to another level. So without further ado, see you guys on October 2nd, when we'll host you once again on a free session. Thank you for making the time and staying all through. For those of you that stayed to the end, you are just the MVPs. It has been a beautiful day. Have a wonderful week, and God bless you.